Hello, everybody. This is Pastor Lan again coming to you from Chicagoland. Trust you guys are doing great. Excited to see you guys joining the Light 360. Please go ahead and like the video. If you are watching on YouTube, like it. If you are watching on, if you're watching on with YouTube, like it. Also click the notification button so that you can get notification of subsequent shows. Also Facebook too, Periscope. Share the video, like the page, so that you can get notifications of subsequent shows that we're going to be doing. Welcome to Light 360. Today is going to be explosive. We had such an awesome time yesterday with Mark Imoya from Microsoft as he shared his story from when he was a kid to how he became a manager in Microsoft and what he's doing right now in the Middle East and in Africa. There was a lot to learn. I was telling my kids, this morning that, you guys need to watch that thing because it's like a roadmap for you as you navigate life. Yeah, welcome, Jepter from Zambia. Good to see you. So today also we're following in the same stream. That's what we're doing this week. We're talking about how to be a light in the corporate world. And also we're talking about wealth building. So we're focusing on people whose purpose and stories are in alignment, with that flow. Light 360, as I say at the beginning of every show, has been designed to encourage you to use other people's stories to encourage you, to use other people's stories to inspire you. Stories are very powerful. You can learn people's secrets from their stories, and you can learn the secret of success by listening to the stories of successful people. We're especially focused on people finding and discovering their purpose in the kingdom and using it to be a blessing to the world and to expand the kingdom of God. So we showcase people who are doing that, and we speaking to people. Mainly, I think apart from one or two people that we have brought on in the 2 seasons of this show, most of the other people that I'll bring on, they are people who have participated in the Leading Lights training that is organized by the City Light Life Development Center here in Chicago. This training was conceived last decade. The first cohort was in 2010. And by the end of that decade, we had reached thousands of people in 12 nations who have participated in the training. And people celebrate the discovery of purpose. They celebrate, what God is doing in their life through the training. And then we have a network of people where we stay connected. We stay in contact to encourage one another as we move on in our divine purpose in life. So today I have somebody very dear to me. I usually say it, I don't know if I've said it to him before, but I've said it to many people who know. I say that there are some guys that I just have a soft spot for them. There's nothing they can do, that can annoy me. He's one of those guys. Like, I just have a soft spot for him from the time that I met him, right here in Chicago. And he began to come to the City Light Church. I just had this special liking for him. I don't know, God just brought that thing in my heart, and it just stays there. So this is, I'm bringing to you somebody that I do believe in very strongly. I love him. He's a great guy. He's not perfect, of course, but he's a great guy. Somebody who has a heart for people. He has a heart for God. He has a heart for excellence. And, he's striving to live life, to be good, to be the best that he can be, and to, represent Christ. So he's such an excellent person. He has a very powerful story to share. So I'm very excited today to bring to you. Right now, I think he's joining us from NOLA, right? He will correct me if I'm wrong, New Orleans or somewhere else. He'll tell us where he's joining from. probably not in Chicago now. He travels, his work involves a lot of travel. So let's, without wasting any more time, let's welcome to Light 360 today, Osilama.
Thank you.
Hello, Osi.
That's why I said that he has a soft spot for me.
Yeah, is that the first time you're hearing that?
No. Actually, I think you've said that to me before.
Oh, I didn't
It's
know.
the part that,
You are not there.
yeah, it's the part that you say he's not perfect.
Of course, I know all your shenanigans. So.
Right?
But,
he's not perfect.
Yeah, I mean, none of us are perfect. None of us are perfect. And the journey of life, it's not really the journey of perfection. It's a journey of working towards improvement, getting better. We're all a work in progress. So I do believe in you. I mean, I'm sure you know that. And I'm glad to know you. Excited. And I'm excited about your story and what God has done in your life. So that's why I wanted you on to come and share that story, today. Maybe somebody watching will be excited. So we have people joining us right now on different platforms. So please tell us who is OC?
Wow, that's a good
story. Where are you? I'm not even sure where you are.
Yes. So right now I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana. Yeah, I was really just in Chicago yesterday. Yesterday. So I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana right now. So my story, who am I? It's a very interesting statement, I would say. So just from a high level, I'm a person that loves technology, loves God. I think just growing up, the impact that God has played in my life and in my family's life. Actually, a lot of people don't know this, but my father wanted to be a priest.
Oh, wow.
So you can tell the impact that he had with all the kids in the house, in terms of relating to God. And I remember I was younger. I think maybe I was just too naive. I distinctively remember me, praying for rainbows, when it rains. And every time I prayed, it will always appear. I used to think that God just loved me too much, but yeah, it was, then growing up, pretty much, with me growing up with my family and where I came from, I had this love for technology, and I'm happy that my family saw it at an early age as well. It all started from this movie, The Net. I take people to Google that movie. It came out in the 90s. It's Sandra Bullock, who played in the movie. It was more about a hacker, going in and hacking into accounts. And I looked at that and said, wow, you know what? If I can hack into the World Bank, and take the money from the World Bank and give it to all the churches in Africa, right? That would be great. Because what I did research was at that young age, right? I knew that if you went to jail, at that age for hacking, you were below the age of 17 at the time, you only go to jail for 5 years, right? So then I gauged it. I said, okay, if I go to jail for 5 years, come out, I'll be like modern day Robin Hood, because all these churches have all this money. I figured the World Bank had insurance at the time, so all the money was insured. So it was always my dream. After watching that movie, I said, I want to do this. This is what I want to do. I want to learn how to not necessarily hack, but just the mindset of using technology to talk to all the computers, right? And there's so many stories. I've done a lot of damage around that. I'll break it down to you in college. So yeah, I remember telling my father that this is what I want to do. He first laughed at me. Then he used to, this is when laptops started coming out, and he used to work for an insurance company in Nigeria, right? So they gave him a laptop to come home with. He didn't really care for the laptop. Back then our parents used to still write on paper. So the laptop, I remember this, it had Windows 3.1. So I'm kind of like a geek. So, whoever doesn't know Windows 3.1, I'm sorry. It had Windows 3.1. It was all MS-DOS. And so I used to go in and play with it. I used to break it down. I figured out how you can pop up Lotus 123. Wherever, for those viewers, Lotus 123 is like Excel in today's format. So there's so many things I used to do around MS-DOS coding, and I blew the laptop. I destroyed it. After I destroyed it, he came home and saw that because the laptop just ran out of memory and just crashed because I was doing too much on it. And he realized that, okay, he has something for computers. So he actually put me in the direction to get a private tutor coming to the house just to teach me computers. It wasn't math, wasn't English, wasn't biology, nothing. It was just we had a tutor just for computers, you know. So yeah, so it was interesting, you know, where you learn about the CPU, you know, central processing units, you know, you learn about types of floppy drives, what creates it. So it was more the foundation of a computer, you know, and that's where my love for technology came from, you know. And I'm sorry, I could keep going how I came to America and continue that process with technology. Yeah. Yeah. So in high school, I don't know if, again, I'm not sure how your viewers are familiar with the internet, but back then there wasn't necessarily Internet Explorer or Google. It was Netscape. So yeah, pass the line. Can you hear me?
I hear you. Yeah.
Okay. It looks like it looks like you're frozen.
Asking you, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you very well. It just looks like you're frozen. I don't know if.
Yeah, it looks like our internet, something just happened to our internet, but I think we're back. Okay. Yeah,
you're back.
Somebody said, you remember Windows 95, old school.
Windows 95. This was before Windows 95. Windows 95 was when we had the GUI interface where you can now move your mouse and click. You know, MS-DOS was just pure coding. So in high school, yeah, Pascaline, you're familiar with Netscape, right? This is before Internet Explorer, Netscape Navigator back then. I remember getting my first email address. And then you can buy domains at the time. You can buy various domains, and I bought my first domain because Bill Gates was a big motivating factor for me. I watched him, you know, as he grew and the effect that he had on technology. You know, so I bought my first domain called LlamaSoft, you know, like Osilama, LlamaSoft.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I remember I bought it for, I think it was $40 for 4 years at the time. I was so happy when I had that domain, you know, and it kind of expired.
You were still in Nigeria then, right?
No, when I came to America. This was America. Yeah, this was when I came to America and I started getting on the internet in the library. I was in my school's library where we just had literally internet at the time. So yeah, going to Netscape, I was always there. I was always in the computer room, just playing around on the internet. There was really nothing to search for, but at the time it was just more about getting on Netscape Navigator or AOL. You know, you got mail. You know, yeah. So
dial up.
Yeah, dial up with all those CDs that they mail you all the time. Yeah. So I remember buying my first domain, getting my first email address, and that's where it all like blew up for me. You know, I used to read on technology, read on people who've done this before me, and just gearing towards the aspects of how can you actually build something online, right? There's this website, Inc.com. They have a book. They have a booklet. I think every quarter they release this booklet, and within that, it's they talk about people who have made it, you know, and these were just young people similar to me who started companies, sold it, you know, and then it was just a big thing for me, you know, reading their stories and how what route did they take, you know. So yeah, that's how my journey started, you know, into computers and
Very good. So, you know, from what you said, there are a bunch of things that I could pick up, you know, from there. So basically from when you were young, a dream was sparked in your heart. And that dream was, you know, you wanted to make some kind of impact through technology, right? That's the first thing. Then you had parents that encouraged it. You know, your dad, you know, bought you computers and all that, you know, to encourage that. And then you now turned out passion into practical action. You were going to the library, you were just going after it. You just had that, you know, that thing that I want to make an impact, you know.
Yeah.
through this.
There was no doubt in my mind in terms of what I wanted to do in life. I even to today at this early, at my later age, I can still remember the first time I saw a computer. The first time I ever saw a computer, I know the name of the computer is the Gateway 2000, all white. It was in my cousin's house. I remember everything that has to do with technology within computers. I remember it distinctively. So yeah.
So what about your schooling? Tell us about your schooling. How?
Yeah. So like I said, right, I knew that I wanted to do something with computers. Went to school. So this is the thing, in Nigeria, is it accounting, computers, lawyer, or more like computer science or engineering or something like that. Yeah. So I wanted to study computer science. Then I realized that computer science is different from actually like information systems, right? Computer science is more about science of computers and really understanding the motherboard and all those extra stuff. And that's not where I wanted. I wanted to code. I wanted to build applications, right? That's what I wanted to do. So that geared me towards information systems. And again, and for those viewers out there, when you're talking about computers, it's a broad topic. It's very broad, right? You're talking about networking, database, application development. Now we're talking about the cloud, in various ways and moving within the cloud. So it's become really broad, and it's really good for you to know what area that you really want to, come into. You can be a PM or whatever the stakes are, right? For me, it was more. It started off as I wanted to code. I I went to college. Took certain classes. I took C++ at the time, C#. And then I also fell in love with databases. Now, the concept of turning numbers into information or turning data into information, I think I totally fell in love with that concept. So writing more SQL code to build that information and take that data, you might see all these millions of data, but you just want simple information from that. So how do you crunch that data and turn it into information? So that was that challenge. I took on that challenge and I loved it, and I continued in that path. So yeah, I would say that's where my drive was for.
So I wanted to talk about where you are right now. So you talked about where you started from, how the passion came. So what has that led you into? Just because we're giving glory to God. Like where has that led you to professionally? In your life and all that. Then we're going to retrace back and start talking about the journey there. So tell us right now.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So what I'll just start with what I do now. So now I design database systems. I'm a global solutions architect. It has to do with the cloud. I design database platforms in the cloud. Build that whole network platforms in the cloud. And when I say the cloud, I'm talking about AWS, Azure, and GCP, which is Google's platform. Yeah.
Wow.
So Google, Amazon, and Microsoft. Yeah. So just building platforms in the cloud, that's what I'm doing right now. I enjoy it. But one thing I will tell your viewers is that it's not, it's a means to somewhere, obviously. There's so many things that, how will I put it? During my journey to where I am now, there's so many impacts that has been made outside of just a 9-to-5 or within the corporate world. And we tell people to take those risks, right? So between when I got into corporate America in the beginning and where I am now, I started 2 companies, one in Nigeria, grabcars.com. I started with my partner, and believe it or not, Pasalan, we were the first people, the first company, car company that trades in terms of buy and sell cars in Nigeria to have a mobile app. We had the first mobile app. This was within the Android application. We grew that up to 200,000 users, me and my partner at the time. The challenge around that was when we kept on hiring people in Nigeria, and after a month they would quit. So it was always a challenge for us because you put in so much energy in training people, and then they would quit. And it was a big learning experience for us at the time. There was still And I'll be honest with you, there was still a fear of, hey, should we go back home, or should we continue to push it from here? We knew that we owned the technology for it, so technology could run here, but we still needed the marketing team on the ground to push it, and we just we didn't take that risk of going home. Me and my partner decided that it would be best just to shelf the lifespan around that, because one other challenge was that the technology we were building, which is also a mistake. I think I could talk about the mistakes here. We built a technology that was so advanced and will work great in America, because we tested it here in America. But in Nigeria at the time, the internet service was very slow. So you had internet issues going on at the time. You had penetration of mobile phones at the time was still very low in terms of people getting mobile apps. And this was literally 10 years ago. Right now, everything has changed, right? And there are so many possibilities going on in Nigeria right now. If you want to talk about that, we can talk about that later in the call. So that was the first one. Second one was RestoPix, which obviously has to do with the restaurants. And this was really a pet project of mine. And we kept on reiterating this. I actually flew to India. We actually launched in India. We launched this product in India with my partner at the time. Signed up a bunch of restaurants in India just to test out the process. And it worked. It worked for a good amount of time, but then the model wasn't sufficient in terms of how do we scale, right? So for us to scale, we had to really look at what would be the best approach around this. And then I had to sit down and say, okay, the technology needed for us to scale, we can spend money and implement that, or we can step back and say, hey, okay, the way the industry is going now, we had COVID-19, we had all this stuff. How are restaurants looking at technology today? What will be the next wave of the future in terms of looking at technology, right? So now we're taking a step back and trying to reevaluate that entire space. One, it saves money, and it's okay. It's okay to go through this challenge. It's okay it's okay because you're not necessarily failing. You're getting all this experience, for the next phase of what it is that you're about to approach.
Yeah, I wanted to say something. Elon Musk now, you know him, SpaceX, Tesla, and all that. I mean, I was watching his biography and I was looking at, failures and failure, what people would call failure. He did PayPal, sold PayPal, moved on to something, moved on. And now, even Tesla, there was a time that it looked like, even SpaceX, that looks like this thing is not going to work.
Yeah, of course.
But there's just something about, people that have this entrepreneurial nature that want to make a difference. There's something about testing different things, going into different things and learning from that experience. And then, moving on until they hit the real, mother load, like the real one. Yeah. For everybody too, right? In life, not just entrepreneurs that, you will attempt things, right?
Yeah.
And then it might not work out at first, but that's not failure. Yeah, go ahead and talk.
Yeah, no. Actually, you're absolutely right. And one more thing that that really inspires me as well is just to see the youths, in terms of their ideas. Now, I was once like that, right, where I didn't have funding to help push a project, and I did things much, later in my late 20s. But you see these youths coming up with great ideas and have that energy, to go in and jump in and really build something. What they need is funding, right? So how do we help them with funding? So now what I'm doing, and this is part of wealth building as well, if I can just speak a little bit on that, it's more about how do we take money, and invest in a lot of these young entrepreneurs, and specifically in Nigeria. Right now, I'm part of two funds where we actually fund a lot of startups in Nigeria. One of the startups just got bought out by Stripe, right? That we funded, which was Payspec, that sold for 200 million. So our investment fund, invests in a lot of startups like this in Nigeria. I was speaking to Lani. I was speaking to Lani 2 days ago, and he was like, "Hey, if we can't build it, let's invest in the people that can build it." We're having that conversation, and it was an interesting topic. Yeah,
so that's into real estate too. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So in terms of wealth creation, right? Real estate is very much a tangible asset. It's been here for years and years and years, and there will always be a need for someone to live in a property or and move to a new property. So real estate will always be there. I remember buying my first property. I think this was 2010. I bought my first property, and it was actually one of the biggest properties I own now in my portfolio. But
the one on direct, was that
why you want to give up my address? Yeah. The one in Brooklyn.
We're not going to give them the exact address.
Okay. So yeah, that was the first one, right? But this is what I would advise people: if you're a first time homeowner, especially if you're young, right? I would say don't go buy a home, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, or whatever the case is. There is no need for you to go do that now, especially when you're young. I would recommend you can go get a 2-unit, or even a 3-unit if you can, but get a 2-unit, stay in one and rent out the other one. They're like that at that time, most likely you don't have a family yet. It's you, or you might just be starting a small family out, so you stay in one, you rent out the other one. It gives you the experience on how do you collect rental income? How do you deal with tenants, and how is it that you can be a better landlord before you scale that. So we have a few properties in our portfolio. We have condos and multi-units as well.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. So now let's go back. We're now going to discuss. And of course, you are also, just like you talked about, like funding, like startups and all that. You're also a philanthropist. You are involved in, different. You're one of my partners too, for Leading Light and all that, like our trips and everything. So you also, volunteer your efforts. One wanted to build the LMS recently. For the Leading Light network, you were the one for the LDC. You came in there, to do the work and all that. So now I want us to go back because I wanted people to see where you are right now, like how you are shining as a light and making impact in just all those different ways and continue to move on. But I want us to now go back and discuss the journey there because I want people to see from your story, where you started, and then how the journey has been, so that they can learn certain principles and certain lessons, from that. So there was a time you were working at Dominic's. Tell us about that. Dominic's is a great place to
go. So that was my first job ever in America. So Pastor Lai, it took a long time for me to get that job. It was in the winter time. I used to walk around, like if you're living on the north side, who's familiar with Devon. So Devon and Ridge, all the way to Pratt, it's like literally a square. I used to walk around. I went to Mexican stores. I went everywhere to say, hey, all I needed was a job. Just give me any job. It's okay. Though when I would go into a Mexican store, they would just look at me like, you want a job here? Yeah, I said, anything. It's okay. I can.
Spanish.
You know what's funny? When you say C or OC in Spanish, it means yes. Okay. Yes. So yeah, I remember in high school they would always say, "Oh, so I'm like, how you didn't know my name?" Having conversations, So yeah, because this is the thing. When we first came to America, it was 6 of us in a 1-bedroom apartment. So my mom brought us here. We're blessed to come here, and my mom was working 2 jobs at a time. It was just a difficult situation. Imagining coming from Nigeria, where you have a big house, you have a driver, then now all of you it's 6 of you in a 1-bedroom apartment. The sitting room has bunk beds. We're like, is this America? So obviously we have to help my mom. My dad wasn't here, so it was just more about, okay, how can we do this? My sister was working at McDonald's. I was working at Dominic's, and it was fun. I think what I learned from that, in that journey was
giving you shout out,
it was more about, and people don't know, is you learn from various situations. What I learned a lot from that was customer service. It was something big about that, helping, and I think that's where that grew in me. You'll see an older lady, you'll help her out, you take her groceries, You know, and most of the time they want to give you money, but it's not something I would accept because that's not how I was raised. I think your values and who you are plays a role to that as well. So it was just more customer service and trying to help people. You know, my goal at the time was to become a stocker. A stocker in terms of putting stuffs on the shelf.
Yeah,
that's what I wanted to do. That was like my
very great ambition for life, you know.
You're a bagger in the winter time. You're pushing carts, you know, from outside inside. All you want to do is you want to be inside, you know. Man, I will never forget when I made it to that level. I thought I made it to, you know. Yeah, it's big. I think that's where the teachings of, you know, helping people came from. You know, it's something as little as that. People may look down on it, but it was that big. You know, it was something that definitely I looked at, and it also played a role when my father passed away. Right, I was in the village when my father passed away. Our house in the village, we had a borehole, where we get water, we put water in, and the whole village will come around. You know, the whole village will come to our house and try to take water. And I used to wonder, like, why is it everybody lining up taking water? And at night, everybody would just run over, going there and collecting water, you know? And I said, what's going on? Then somebody told me that, hey, yeah, this whole village, the water pump is broken. So there is no water. You understand what I'm saying? So what I now did was I called my driver, then we went to go talk to the chief at the time. And said, hey, what would it take for us to fix the water pump, right? So we can pump water into the village. And he said, yeah, this is how much it is, that they don't have money to raise that at the moment. So I gave the money, we fixed it that same day. I stepped out, I went out of the village for a little bit to go buy some stuff. On my way back, I just saw people running around, laughing and happy. Their taps were open, water was spraying everywhere, and it just gave me a good feeling, right? They may not know that it's because of me, you know, and that's fine. They don't need to know that, but it's just to see all these kids and all these people in the village running around, putting their pots by the tap now because they have water, dancing and playing. You know, it's a genuine feeling for that, and it's something that I love. And moving forward, every time I go to the village, I try to see what I can do, you know, to give back. And you know, there is a school in the village that my father went to. My goal, and I'm sister about this, Essie knows this, I want her to run the foundation. So we're about to launch the Omoh Gives Foundation, right? What that does is it has multiple aspects to it, but the beginning is obviously having a scholarship for up to 50 students in the village, in the same school that my father went to. I wanted Essie to run it. I know Essie is there live, and those of you who don't know Essie is my sister. She's one of the smartest people you will ever meet. Her heart, oh my goodness, her heart is to where God is.
She's a systems genius.
Yeah, and not only that, you cannot. Essie is not swayed by money. You know, if Google comes today and gives her all this money, and then there's a little company that she has a passion for, she'll go with that company. She's not swayed by money, you know, and she has a genuinely good heart to help people. So I looked at it and said, yes, I'll fund it. Yes, I will have everything. But at the same time, I want her to be the face of it. I want her to run it. You know, and I've spoken to her multiple times about this. I've even offered to buy her a ticket to Nigeria, look at what you want, just name, how do you want this to run? I'll fund the whole thing, you know, and she's aware. I think she's trying to figure it out on her own. But I've always told her that you're way better than me at this. For me to have a true impact, I don't have to be the face of it. I don't have to be the one running it, because I know with you, you have a much more bigger impact. You know?
So, you know, based on what you're saying right now, and based on what I know about you, you know, like you have certain values. You know, watching you, one of your strongest values is family. I know I watched the way you talk to me about your siblings, even when they are going through stuff, the concern, you know, that's over the years, you know, you've been consistent about that. I also noticed that one of your other values, what you were just talking about, like generosity, like giving, you know, like helping people that are down, you know, and all that. And of course, you know, your passion for tech and, you know, and all that. So I just want you to talk about, I think you began to talk about it, how those values developed. So I also want you to speak to, so coming to America, your dad was not here. How did you keep yourself from becoming one of the statistics of young men that just, they just lost, they lose their dreams and they are not, they are not able to move on. What was guiding you, during that time?
Yeah. So there are two questions that you mentioned. Let me address the first one. Where did my values come from? Yeah. My father was also good in giving. He was like I mentioned, he was big in the church, and he was always giving. He was opening his doors up to everybody. And there's something that really impacted me at a young age. And this was in secondary school in Nigeria. I had a teacher. I can't remember her name, but she was our Hausa teacher, right? And she always said that she's the one that always prayed for everybody on the assembly, right? And she always said this quote every time, every single day. She said, "What shall it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his soul?"
Wow.
She says that
to that teacher. You can still remember it.
Oh my God! I think it's Proverbs chapter 3, verse 6 or something.
No, maybe it's Jesus that said it. It's Jesus that said it.
So, it's Jesus.
The New Testament.
Yeah, okay.
No,
yeah, but no, to the point where when she says it, right, everybody in the assembly says it with her because she says it every day. So it was stuck in our head every single day. If it was anything that I took away from that, was that what shall it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his soul, right?
Wow.
And that to me, so that stuck with me a lot.
What did that mean to you? Tell me, what did that verse mean to you?
Yeah, why we work all the time, we want to have money and have all this money. When we die, what do we do that? What do we use that money for? If we can actually use that money to make an impact in people's lives, it's way bigger. And I think that
the soul is of more worth than all the accumulation of wealth that we can have when you place them side by side. So one is of more value, your own soul and the souls of other people. So part of the purpose of money is to use it, to minister to souls. Yeah.
Right.
And to make sure that your own too is cool. Very good. Very good. Yeah. Right.
I agree. And the second question, I think the second question you mentioned was,
I talked about family too, your family values. Yes. And then I talked about how were you able, as a young man in Chicago, how are you able to?
What I'm about to talk about right now. Pastor, I was a bad guy.
I know now.
I wouldn't lie to you and say I was a saint. No, I wasn't. I went out, I partied, I had fun, I did all of that. I think one of the things that kept me grounded was the people I had surrounding me. Right, I have a group of friends that I've always had since I came to America. Right, and we challenge each other a lot. It's amazing to see where all of us are now. There's a group of us, we're about 6 of us. We have our WhatsApp group where we chat every single day and argue every single day. But we pushed each other. We went to the same high school. Some of us went to college, and a lot of us are doing great right now in our lives. And they've always played a big impact in my life. And then my 3 sisters, everything I did that was bad. My older sister, oh my God, she's like my angel. She will call and say, "Oh, see, why did you do this?" So it was always there. And my mom,
that means you had accountability in your life. Yeah,
definitely. I definitely had accountability in my life, and my mom definitely. I stressed her too much. If she tells you the story, she might start crying. But
I was praying for you too.
Yeah, of course.
Meaning that there's hope for bad boys.
There's hope. there's hope for bad boys. But I think having good accountability partners around you is very important. The friends that you pick also play a big role. And I tell people, just be wary of the friends. Or I tell parents now, now that I'm a father, thank God that I'm a father. It's interesting because I try to project my child, right? What are the values him about certain areas in life, and also with wealth building. Pastor Line, I'm sorry, but the people that came before us, they didn't teach us the right things.
Yeah. So you're going to share some of those right things with us today.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's really sad. Growing up, the goal was, hey, go to school, get your degree, go work for a good company and start making money. And that's it.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
But why? Why?
And wait for retirement, save for retirement, get a pension or whatever.
Millionaire. That's what they call them. Be a 401k millionaire.
Yeah.
It's not, but there's so many things I wish my parents, if they knew as well.
If they knew, they would have shared it with you, but that was the level of their knowledge. Yes.
Exactly. At a young age, you tell people, it's okay to get educated, but look for how you can build wealth. A paycheck to paycheck is not a way of building wealth.
So we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that next. But I want you to quickly talk about your spiritual journey too. How you came to, meet Christ, know God, purpose and all that. Then talk about coming to City Light and all that. I want to know. Hear the story from your perspective.
Yeah, Pastor Lan, I've always been blessed. I think I had a major injury when I was young. Well, it wasn't even an injury. I got saved from the injury, so it was a major incident. Back then, when you're young and you pee on beds, they put it outside, and the bed was laid on top of the sharp objects, right? Sharp,
sleep on it. Oh, and
the bed was. I'm always big and jumping on I'll just dive on the bed, So the housemaid at the time was sweeping. The bed was outside, So I saw my bed. I was like, So I ran. As I flew, I was about to just literally land on the bed. She just pushed me.
Wow.
When she pushed me, the mark still pierced my chest. I still have that mark right here in my chest.
Wow.
I still have it in my side.
You could have died.
Yeah, I could have died. So I was bleeding on my chest here. So I saw that and I was like, wow. And she just started crying. I was really young at the time, playing outside. So I just over my life, and Pastor Lan, I wish I was very, very much religious, like I should be. I know that I need to get better with that. But I know one thing I know for a fact is that God loves me and He has a purpose for me. Yeah. And I wish and I pray that I fulfill that purpose, before it's all said and done. But love, I can never deny the love that God has for me. He has blessed me so many times over and over again. Even when I've messed up, He has always been there, And so I know that there is a purpose, and now my goal is to achieve that purpose.
Yeah. Tell me how you came to City Light, because I think I met you at City Light, right?
Yeah. How did I come to City Light? I think it was Onye that invited me.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Onye that invited me at the time. So Onye, so Onye invited me at the time to City Light. So I started coming, and then this is when we were in the basketball court. I came and I served. I was like, wow. First, I've been in Chicago this time. I've not seen any of these Nigerians before. And I go out a lot. People don't go out, But it was, you people welcomed. I was welcomed with open arms, and the message was powerful. Pastor, I have a lot of love for you. You know that.
I love you too.
Yeah. We're not going to fall in love on camera.
But romance that is going on.
But you've always, you're blessed in a sense when you speak. People tend to listen, and I think that's a powerful gift. And you've been very instrumental in terms of, and so many things I've confided in you. And I was really happy. I dragged us, and I was really happy. That just to see the roles that you played in my life as well. Not only a pastor, but also a mentor and a psychologist as well.
A shriek.
I didn't want to say that though. But you said it. That's what it is. Yeah, I know. Definitely that OC is a handful.
Yeah, but it's been fun. Like I said, I just love you. Seriously. I mean, I love you. I know, just like what you were saying, there's grace on you. God's mercy is on you. God's grace is on you. God definitely has something for you. And God is watching that. And I've always believed that there's just something about this guy. He's walking through some, weakness, whatever, but I just know there's something about you. And I'm committed to that. And I know God is committed to that. So
thank you. Yeah.
Awesome. So so what were let's talk about City Light and later Leading Light. What were some things that you picked up from that, from being part of this family?
Yeah. Oh my goodness, so many things. The brotherhood is amazing. I remember when we have those prayers every Thursday or so. We'll move between homes, and we had it in my home. It's just amazing. And we not just only pray, but we also talked about how can we build wealth, right? That's when those conversations started with real estate, and so many things around that. Having that brotherhood to share. How do we navigate this thing called life? And a lot of us are young at the time. So having that was great. Pastor Olumide, Pastor Omoh, those also played big roles in that. And it was something to watch, and also Leading Lights. I mean, there's not enough things I can say about that. The impact on the community. I have seen it firsthand, how we've impacted various people within the community. It's something that I love, and I don't want to commit to a statement right now, but Pastor Lan, you got something coming.
Hey, yes. Don't let Essie intercept it, because she's not.
No, Essie will intercept it too. No, but you've played. Leading Lights have played a big impact in the community in Brownsville, and I've seen it, and I'm really grateful for that. How you continue to impact the youths within Brownsville.
Amen. Praise God. So now let's go to wealth building.
Yeah.
Wealth building. So now from Dominic's, dreaming about Lamasoft, and then moving. So what do you want to share about your journey? I want you to talk about from what I've observed about you over time. So you had the work ethic, right? That work ethic that started Dominic looking for a job and doing all that, and then the desire to learn, you went into it, and then you put your foot into corporate America, and you've been growing in it, but you were getting resources, but you were not just wasting it. You understand? You were investing it, you were stewarding it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Like, what's your journey to build wealth, at least to where you are now?
Yeah, definitely. So there are three key areas that I look at right now, where has worked for me. It may not work for everyone, but it has worked for me, and I've used that to build wealth. One is the stock market. I've been investing in the stock market for a long time, and I keep investing in the stock market, especially with what happened in March with the market crash. That was a good opportunity for people to jump in and double their wealth.
Just like today too, there's a crash that is going on. I'm already looking, because I'm in the stock market too. I'm already looking at some opportunities.
I've cried before I jumped on this call.
Yeah, I lost some money today too. I calculated. I was like, wow, I've almost lost this amount today. But I also saw it like, wow, this is an opportunity to do, because I did that at the beginning of the Corona thing, got some stuff like that. Today is another opportunity to get more, but I know the pain. I looked at it, I'm like, wow.
Yeah. You know what's funny? We have a group, and maybe we can bring you into that group. It's grown now to about, I think, 70 guys.
Oh, okay.
and
I'd like to be there. Yeah, if you want.
And we talk about the stock market. We talk about options. How do you trade options? Futures as well. So it might be we can add you to that group as well. But yeah, the stock market has been great. It's been great for me. It's been one of my big source of growth, and real estate definitely. The route I took within real estate, like I mentioned earlier, if I had to redo it again, it would be different. But it's still a great source. I just don't like dealing with tenants. I have tenants right now, a lot of tenants. and I'm dealing with tenants, what I would have preferred, what I would prefer right now is if I can sell a lot of my portfolio and buy like 50 units and then outsource
to
all that.
a management company.
Yeah, so I meet with them weekly just to talk about the budget and things like that. So real estate is number two. Obviously, it's a big one. I tell people, go into real estate. Don't be scared. There are multiple ways right now to jump into real estate. You can go in with just 3% down if you have good credit. This is using FHA. Don't be scared about that. I had a 2-unit that I bought, and all I put down was literally about, I think it was $4,000.
Yep.
That's all I put down. And I had 2 tenants in there that was giving me money, right? It was an FHA. Technically, they want you to live in there for 1 year, but Barcelona,
Well, I mean, I'm actually about to close on one now. And,
there is a rule, but there's a way around that.
Yeah.
You can put a mailbox in there. I mean,
yes.
We're Nigerians now. We don't carry last school. But
you can retain a unit too. You could do 6 months. Yeah. Go ahead.
So, real estate is definitely one. And the third one, which is something that I started within a few years ago, is investing in technology. Technology is a big part of my life, right? So, investing in technology startups, looking at ideas. I have 2 people in Nigeria right now who have 2 funds in Nigeria, where they go through a lot of companies. Should we invest in these companies or not? And because they're startups, I can gauge that. I can look at the company and try to, based on my experience, try to see the trajectory, based on the technology and what is it that they're doing, right? So investing in those funds, and it might be risky to a lot of people, but for me, it's something that I chose to jump into, where I become more of a venture capitalist and give seed funding.
But how do you get money to invest in all this stuff? Like, how do you structure it in such? Because a lot of people work in corporate America.
Yeah,
they make money, but they don't have this investment. They're not building wealth. They are paying bills.
Yeah,
right? They are dealing.
You have to be very.
What are the philosophical, changes that took place in your own life, that allowed you to be able to do that?
Correct. First, you have to be very disciplined with your finances. Like for instance, I had really nice properties, but where I lived personally, was a property that I bought for like $30,000. Right, that's where I stayed. So it was paid off. There was no rent on it. There was nothing, and it was a nice 2-bedroom condo. It wasn't the most luxurious place in Chicago at the time. Although I had properties that in all these great areas that I was getting money.
I heard about a property you have downtown. That I said I need to visit that property.
So that's a different conversation. So you have to cut your coat, according to your size. And if you're really serious about building wealth, especially when you're starting off, you need to look at your money, how much is coming in. What I typically do for myself is, from 100%, typically the first percent is always to pay your is tithes, pay your tithes.
Yeah.
I try to tell people that it's very important to do that. Yeah. Although it's a very sensitive topic to a lot of folks, but that's important. So you have the first 10%. I like to pay myself 20%, which goes to my account. Regardless of what's going on, I don't try to touch that. And the other 70% I gave it. I think about 20-30% goes straight into the stock market for me. And then real estate, right now I have no money going into real estate. I've built out my real estate portfolio to the point where it's paying itself. And then right now I'm trying to think if I can actually take money from real estate and pay myself. But I'm not doing that at the moment. So for real estate, no money is going into real estate funding at the moment, except I'm trying to buy a property, then I have to reevaluate. But as of now, it's just being saved. And then I'm putting money to the side for major investments, and especially in technology. Right now, you're familiar with the whole NSARS movement going on. what is about to emerge out of that is going to be crazy growth in startups and technology.
Yeah.
There's so many use of technologies that are being talked about right now in Nigeria, and this whole SARS movement. Just you look at how technology can take over infrastructure. Where you can build your own ecosystem of infrastructures around that. So there's a lot of things that we're watching right now. I think the next 10 years in the whole of Africa in general is going to be really interesting. So that's where I'm looking at it as my first $1 billion passed along. So pray for me.
I pray for you. Yeah, because I know you will use it well. So, God will bless you more and more. He already bless you, but He's going to bless you more and more. So basically, you are saying that from what you just said, wealth building principle. First of all, get a flow of income, like through whatever, either through your degree, your career, your passion, and whatever. Then become an hardened, disciplined saver. Is that it?
Yeah. So it's not just saving money, right? So you have the money still has to work for you. So that's why I put it in the stock market. You still have accounts that you still need to save money, right? So like I mentioned before, you still have your savings accounts and you still need to grow that. But how you balance that is really interesting as well. How do you make that? I'm not a big fan of putting money in a savings account or a money market. The 1%.
Yeah, all those 1% savings.
It doesn't do it for me. However, it's good.
Well, you could put emergency funds in there, like things that you need for whatever. But beyond that, you're just losing money, based on the value. To put money in savings, transfer it into assets.
Exactly. Buying assets is very important. I totally agree. So real estate, stock market, and my investment fund. Those are the three big drivers right now. There's so many other things out there that people can look at. In this world, you realize as you get older, there's so many ways to make money. Many ways to make money. And don't feel like what I've noticed with a lot of people is that, hey, okay,
mommy is watching.
Yeah, even if you're driving an Uber, right, and you're making, it doesn't even matter if it's $100 a week or whatever the case is, right? Still follow those same principles. You can buy stocks as little as $30, and you can see that growing. So I tell people all the time, don't look at the money that you have now. You use what you have now to build the money that you want in the future.
So you were about to get into something the other time when you talked about what you did not learn from the past, like about money and all that. You were about to get into a flow, in that area. So how do you think, how did you learn this thing? How did you get, financial intelligence and all this stuff? How did it come for you? Since you were not taught it, right? How did you get into it? And how do you speak to people that are watching, who they are watching right now? They are making money and all that, but they are not, they don't have the financial intelligence. What are some things you would tell them?
Yeah, so to me, it was 50-50, right? So my father was always big in, go to school, get a degree, go work for a good company. That's how, that was like the structure in our house. My mom, who is on this call, was different, right? She had her own restaurant. Her brother had his own hospital. Her other brother had a TV station. So I saw two different sides growing up, right?
Hold on, also, I want to say something quickly. For those who are watching on Instagram, we're about to go off Instagram, but we're going to come back immediately. The 1 hour for Instagram is about to be over. So we're going to come back immediately on Instagram. Yeah, but we are live on the other platform. Go ahead.
So I had it. There were two different learnings, two different ways that I learned this, right? So, but coming to America, it was the same process. Even in schools, it was the same message, get a degree, go work for a good company. You even had companies coming to say, you want to do an internship. So it was forced down our mindset, for us to, get out when you graduate, go work for a company. Now, for me, what I would teach my son is totally different. First thing is, at a young age, I'm going to see what he loves. If he's gifted enough to play sports and everything, Pastor, I'll push him in sports. I'll push him in sports. If he's a great basketball player, football player, I'll push that. To be honest with you, at the age of 19, 21, you can already be a millionaire in sports. You can already be a millionaire. You know, a lot of people say, no, go to education. Pastor Line, from 26, 27, 28, you can go to school. You can go to school. You can get any degree at any time in your life, right? But sports, it's something that is right now. You only have a little time frame to do sports. It may be only a professional athlete for 5 years, 4 years, 6 years, but they're going to make that certain amount of money that will help them in their future moving forward. So sports is big. Secondly, if you're not good in sports, study. But while you're studying, there are certain disciplines that we're going to implement, right? How do you save money? How do you invest? At a young age, my child is going to have his own account, stockbroker account, where we're going to talk and say, okay, what are the things you like to do? If you like playing toys, let's look at who owns that company, the company that you're playing with, right? Play-Doh or whatever the case is, Toys R Us. Okay, like Toys R Us, let's look at their stock. Instead of buying this, before I buy this tool for you, put your money from your piggy bank into the stock. Let this stock buy what you're trying to get. So if this is worth $16, let the stock become $16, right? Then when it's $16, I will buy it for you.
Because I did that with my sons. My daughter is still very young, so I actually, instead of Christmas gift of toys and all that, I used to get toys and all that. Once they became teenagers, no more Christmas gift of toys because that's not useful for you. Instead, I give them stocks. So this amount invested. Then like you were talking about sport, very powerful. One of my sons, loves sports. A lot of soccer and all that. Both of them love sports, right? But Joshua especially loves soccer, and part of his fascination is shoes. And so he's taking the the sports love and all that, and the love of shoes and whatever. So he actually started by, he will save up money and all that. He will buy, those shoes, I didn't know about them. They're about to drop at Nike, about to drop at It was coming that I let all those, sneakers, SKNS, whatever. Daddy, I want to use your phone. Mommy, I want to use. So you have many phones because you have to use phones to enter it. Because they're not going to open it to everybody. It's only some people.
That's true.
You go and line up like 6 a.m. in the morning, at the store to buy the shoes. You know what he will do with it? He will take the shoes. He will take it to school and rent it to his friends. And then, it was from the first time I ever people renting out shoes at school.
Wow.
We're talking one day, and I was like, Joshua said, can we stop? I said, he said he wanted to buy something at 7-Eleven or something. I said, I don't want to, buy anything. He said, I'm going to use my money. I said, what money do you have? He said, which money? He said, money from my business. I will buy your business. He rents out the shoes. So somebody will rent it from him, wait for a few hours, pay him, and the other person will rent it again for a few hours. And he started accumulating money that way. He started selling things in church with his grandma. They collaborated together. He's selling big pie, selling all this stuff and accumulating it, and he's always thinking about that. Okay, so what's the next thing I want to do with it? I'm just, using that as an example of what you're talking about, that we can actually educate, our kids. Let them have some financial intelligence and not let them just think about the way we were taught. Just go to school, get a degree, and then while you're getting the degree, you already accumulated, student debts that you're going to spend the next, 20 years paying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I tell people, like, if you're at the point where you go to school, understand something about the corporate world. Is a means for you to raise money.
Yes.
And invest it in what it is that you want to do. It's not a means for you to be there years. And there's certain milestones that a person wants to reach in between corporate America, and that's fine. It's good to have those milestones. It's good to always improve and get better in that. But always understand the money that you're making is for you to shift that and invest in your future. What are your retirement goals? And I wish people can think about retirement at the age of, early 20s, because you'll be great when you're, in your 30s.
Yeah.
And it's very important. It's very important.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk. Let's go big picture now. So when you look at yourself and you extrapolate forward to maybe 20 years from now, I mean, what impact do you want to make in the world, in the kingdom of God, through the kingdom? What impact do you see yourself making?
There's so many things around that. So many things around that. Philanthropy is a big thing for me. Philanthropy is big for me. Giving back. I really want to make a big impact on that. And I've told you with the Omoh Gives Foundation, it's a big thing for me. Obviously, I think teaching people in terms of technology is also great. Investing in companies that are coming, after the youths that are coming up, investing in those youths, to see the world change from a technology perspective. Yeah. There is a vision that was given to me a while back, and it's funny because Onye knows this. We had this conversation 10 years ago. It's a plan in Nigeria to build out a whole electronic medical records and send it out for free to all the hospitals in Nigeria, right? And we listed out 5 ways where we can generate revenue. And looking at those 5 ways, it was pretty much $1 billion company. And we sat down, we laid down the plan around that, And so to me, it's still a vision that I have for healthcare in Nigeria, to build a platform where anybody, you can be in the village, you can be in Lagos, you can be in Abuja, you can be anywhere. You can go into any hospital and you can see your entire record, your medical record from when you were in the village, and this is not something that will be charged to hospitals. They'll be able to start the program and just get the software and start using it. That data will be stored, it will be secured. There's so many ways to generate revenue from that data that we sat down, we listed out 5 good ways to make money from that. And I think that's a key blessing. That's something that we've laid down the plan. It's more about, for you to make a decision like that, you have to obviously talk to some political leaders, because in Nigeria, they always want to cut, but if it's free, you have to sell them on what the benefits are.
Yeah. What's the purpose of wealth?
That's a good question. To be honest with you, even at this age, I'm still trying to figure that out. For me, wealth means so many things. It could be, some people look at it as, having money or growing money, or it could be in terms of family, or happiness. And I think the purpose of wealth in general, from a financial perspective, like we've talked about, is for you, one, to live a good, comfortable life, for you and your family to live a comfortable life, but at the same time, for you to help those who are less fortunate. It's always, who wants to be at the top looking down at everybody? It's never been my lifestyle or anything like that. I've always wanted to be in a situation where I can look at everyone and, we're all living a comfortable life. And there's a quote, I don't know how this reads, but it says, if you don't want to be, I don't really know how it goes, but pretty much what it's trying to say is that if you want everybody to be happy, right? It's like, it's pretty much saying you need to be poor. So everybody needs to be on the same level. If not, if somebody's above and people are down, there will always be tensions. And a lot of that is what's going on right now, but there's still ways around that. And, I mean, just help. You always have to help the people who are less fortunate. I think with that, you'll always be blessed. It doesn't have to always be true money, but there is wisdom that comes with that. And there's internal blessings that come from that as well.
Yeah, very good. So another thing I noticed about you is that you utilize the concept of masterminds a lot. Like, you always have people around you that you're discussing stuff, wealth. And you talked about the group of 60 people. I remember Billionaires Club, Yeah. So what's that about? Like that, what role does that play in wealth building, or generally in developing potential in life?
And it also comes about the people who you surround yourself with. So Billionaires Club. Shout out to Mariam for that. It was a great way for us to bring our ideas and what is it that we can do. What impact do we want to make and motivate each other. For us to achieve our own goals. We're the original founders for that, and then it grew to multiple groups as well. But until today, we still talk on our group. But we're always challenging each other and also motivating each other as well, to become great. And it's something that I love. It's a great idea. I tell people, there's this saying in Nigeria that we have, right? They say advice no be cost. A lot of people, would take credit. They don't know how to handle criticism or take advice, right? They think you're being insulted. But if you have the idea that, would you rather want people to lie to you, or would you rather want people to tell you the truth, right? And that's what that group really did. It just put us on our toes and told us the truth about things and motivated us to be great.
So. Yeah, I think it's very essential for development of potential, for wealth, to have people that you are talking to, and they're also keeping you accountable. I have these small groups that I lead at City Light right now called The Truth About Money, and it's about money. So people are going through sequential steps on how to build wealth. And then when we meet again the next time, everybody's going to check. We first of all to determine everybody's net worth. We had spreadsheet to calculate their net worth. Then we had to deal with their inner worth too. How they, their views about money, to recondition, and then now taking practical steps. You have to have this amount saved by now. So everybody, have you gotten it saved? If somebody doesn't have it saved, people can pitch in to get the person to that level. And then, go to the next level about debt, how to be free from debt. And then the next investment. I just feel that thing of constantly, keeping yourself accountable in a group is one of the ways for you to really develop whatever you have. Otherwise, you just feel like you're on your own, alone. You might have the dream, but you never really get it done.
It's true. You're absolutely correct. Yeah. Cool. I agree.
Yeah, good. So now let's go to the question I usually ask everybody. Anyway, by the way, first of all, congratulations. You are now a daddy, right?
Yeah.
How many months now?
It was 5 months yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Baby's growing,
Yeah.
How's your wife?
Oh, she's fine.
Doing well. Awesome. So how's fatherhood been for you?
Fatherhood is interesting. I can't sleep at night. So just going through that process. Holding him at night. He wants to lay on the bed, doesn't want to stay in the crib. So, but we're just trying to discipline him and make sure that, he's Does
it make you more responsible as a man when you become a father? What change happened to you when you became a dad?
It's interesting. The change, it's not necessarily more responsible. It's just more about building a future, right? Like right now, I'm looking at various things like insurance, building a wealth plan for my child at this young age, right? So you're just more about building a future for your kid, but it's not anything. It doesn't necessarily make me more disciplined or change a lot of things about my life. It just makes me more conscious, like
so okay, dependent now.
Exactly.
Depending on you, you don't want, you want to make sure that.
Yeah. And also, there's just certain values that I want to teach my child. So I see that. Happening. It's exciting. It's always exciting. And obviously his name is unique. So it's just everything about him, and seeing him smile. It's just a blessing. Sometimes you think about it and say, "Wow, God can create certain things in life here."
Awesome. Posterity is part of prosperity. In fact, one of the spur to wealth for a lot of people is the fact that they have dependents. A good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. You want to make sure that you leave the world, better. You don't want them to start from scratch. You want them to at least, have some value deposit, or some kind of deposit that they can start with. And I think that is a godly thing, and that's one of the purpose of wealth. We want to make sure that we leave the next generation better than we are. We want to give them some heritage. Awesome. So tell me 5 principles that you live life with that can bless people. Just look through your life, what God has done in your life. What are, just summarize it for like 5 that you feel is extremely important for everyone to learn from.
Okay. It's not, these are my 5 principles, right? But it's not necessarily, to me, I think it's a blessing, but it might not be a blessing to some, right? But for me, first thing, my first principle is that you need to have an outlet. That's one. As a man or a woman, having an outlet is very important for your sane mind. And for me, I play soccer every week. Winter, snow, anytime. I play sports. Some people work out, some people jog. So for me, playing sports is a big deal for me. If I don't play in a week, it's like, oh my God, what's going on? It fills my competitive drive. So that's big for me. Second thing, in terms of principle, you have to keep learning. You have to keep educating yourself. So many things to learn. If anybody knows me at Barcelona, you know me. I hate reading books. I don't like to read, and that I can see the effect that had on me at a young age. But thank God for audiobooks and all these other things, but I read a lot of articles. Especially in my space. I try to project what the next 5 years will look like, especially within the technology space, and how the cloud is moving. So learning, always getting educated in your field, your specialty, you're only as good as the knowledge that you have now, so just always keep learning and moving forward is important. Number 3, let me see. What would I say that it's a big thing for me in my principle? Investing. Investing is big. Always investing, and we've talked about it. Investing in your future and the future of your family as well. Number 4, philanthropy. Giving back. Giving back is a very, very big part of my life. And it's not even going to be ranked 4th. It might be ranked the top 3. But it's a big part of my life. And 5, it's not a principle. Family is important, but I won't say family is a principle.
Yeah, so it's fine. Prioritizing your family is a principle.
Yeah. Okay. Family. Family is very big for me. My extended family, Nigeria, the UK. I'm still very close to everyone. So,
how do you do that? Being very busy. A lot of people have issues, problem with, with a busy life and still being able to keep in touch with family, especially extended family.
Yeah.
Any tips on that?
Because if you know me, you just know I will call you and bug you out of nowhere. So I have, thank God for WhatsApp, right? So no matter where you are in this world, we're all on WhatsApp, and the WhatsApp group has various age groups. So you have your immediate family, you also have your extended family, but you also have various age groups, right? So we keep in touch, we communicate, and you may not talk to them in a week, 2 weeks, but when you talk, it just starts from where you left off. And if you see everybody improving in their life and doing something, it keeps for good communication as well. So family is very important. It's very important to me.
Very good. Let me ask you one last question. And I've actually not asked people this one. When you look, it's very important for us to have role models, people that we look up to in life and all that. For you, who is?
That's a very good question. Yeah. Nobody has ever asked me that question, but I'll tell you this. I have an interesting response to that. Growing up, I always looked at, it was Bill Gates, and then there's Bill Gates was always the guy, but Bill Gates is not me. When I grew up, I realized we don't have, he achieved something within technology that I've always loved, right? But he doesn't fit my lifestyle. So what I looked at is and said, I'm unique in my own way. So the vision I had for myself, when I was a kid, I had a vision of what I wanted to be at 22. Then I have a vision of what I wanted to be at 28. Then a vision for what I wanted to be at 32, and a vision for what I want to be at 38. Right? So I always kept on chasing what that vision is.
Yeah.
So who I inspire to become is the vision I have in my head. And what's really interesting is, oh my God, I can't remember this guy who won an Oscar. He had the same statement. It said, they asked him, he said, who's your hero, right? And he says, my hero is me 10 years from now. That he will never become his hero, right? He will never get to meet up with his hero, because his hero is always going to be.
He's always ahead of him.
Yeah,
that's very powerful.
I'll say that, like, I can't believe I don't have that. He said that during his Oscar speech, but it makes sense to me, because I distinctly remember me 22. I was like, okay, this is who I want to be. At 28, I had a vision for 28. 28 is, this guy is a bachelor, he's living his life, you know, he has certain things that he's wanted. He has his own home, you know, car, you know. And then 32 was, okay, he's investing, he's doing this. I envisioned me at 38 carrying my son. I just saw it. Like, there's something beautiful with carrying a son and wearing a beautiful suit, coming out of a nice car. I just saw that vision, right? Now the next vision in life is the giving back. Like, what am I doing to give back? What am I doing to educate people? Because your voice becomes, you know, a staple. Now the decisions you make will impact multiple people. So having a powerful voice, you know, becoming that staple is what I see moving forward.
Wow. Let's see. Well, you know what? I want to say that is so powerful. What you just shared now is so powerful, you know, and it's just bringing up a lot of things in my mind. I'm sure people that are watching too, make sure that your future you is your hero.
Yeah.
You know, your future you. If you make your future you your hero, then your current you, you know, will begin to move towards that.
Yeah.
And then you'll never be able to catch up with that future you, because once you get to that point again, you will have to update it. You know, there's always a future you. And of course, you know, there's going to come a time when your life ends. All of us are going to leave this world at a particular, then they make the eternal you. There's still a future after this world to your hero. You know, and I think that should be what everybody should be thinking about. Ultimately, when I leave this world, what my legacy is going to be, and when I stand before God, what I'm going to say, that should be your ultimate hero. That is so powerful. I mean, we have had a very deep conversation today. I love the way you have addressed all these things. You've addressed them so intelligently, so deeply. And I believe that people that are watching have been blessed. So I want to really appreciate you for coming on. I want to appreciate you for giving your time and sharing of your life. You know, I was blessed, and I'm sure.
Thank you. No problem. And I want to say one thing before I leave. And I know I said it earlier before. Well, Pastor Lion, you've been a big inspiration, not just to me, but members of my family as well, including my brother and my sister. So I really appreciate you. I know we might not talk as often as we used to anymore, because we're all busy now, but you're always in my prayers, and I thank you so much for you and your family as well.
Thank you. I appreciate you too. Love you. All right, so everyone, let's appreciate OC. This has been powerful. Oh, let me ask you, if people wanted to reach out to you, like maybe they needed some help, or either in their IT journey. For example, when we did the show, when we finished the show yesterday, someone just called me that, I need to talk to the person that came on, because I want to connect somebody, and I just linked them up and all that. So if people wanted, to reach out to you, either to learn, for help in their business ventures, in whatever area that you have spoken about, how do they reach out to you?
Yeah, two ways. You can reach me on Instagram. Is the same handle. I think you posted it in there. You can reach me on Instagram. You can reach me on LinkedIn. You can reach me on Facebook as well if you want. But I'm not always on Facebook, but I'm definitely on Instagram. So you can definitely reach me on Instagram at any time. Anybody can ping me, ask me any questions. Please don't feel like you can't. I'm willing to share my advice, and if I can connect you to someone, I'll definitely do that.
Yeah. And that's at Osilama, right?
Osilama _Omoh.
_Omoh. They will post it there so that we can show it. So But so everybody reach out to OC. He's a nice guy. He's a nice guy. Reach out to him. You know, there's a
retired but you know,
there's a lot that he has to offer. Yeah. And we say we wave to mommy. You know, we love you. Thanks for giving us OC and giving the world OC. You have great children, and I hope that continues to encourage you. Thanks for all your sacrifices. So we appreciate you. So, well, we're going to be signing off with Light 360 for today. It's been powerful. Share the video. It's going to be there on all the platforms. It's going to remain there. Share it, watch it again. But you know, get in touch with OC, get in touch with me. But it's been great being with you today. So we're going to sign off. I'll be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central Daylight Time, again 7 p.m. GMT, with another powerful story. So we're having some fun, you know, with this. So this week we're focusing on wealth, we're focusing on impact in the corporate, you know, what we call the corporate world. Some people call it secular world, but I don't like it. I don't like calling it secular because really I don't believe there's anything secular. I believe everything is spiritual. So so we're going to keep focusing on that. So look forward to more stories to come. All right, then. So OC and I are going to sign off, everyone. Say bye-bye to you all, and then I will see you too.